What happens if you just so happen to be cruising down Worker Placement Highway in a top-down cabriolet, but suddenly, as if possessed, you handbrake turn into Deck Building Street and pick up a couple of randoms on the way? Viscounts of the West Kingdom is what, and this is that in 5 minutes or less. Set during a difficult time for the West Kingdom, this trilogy closer sees the lower tiers of the peerage picking up some of the slack during the king's slow and inexorable decline, trying desperately to ensure that things don't go full belly up. This is a game that incorporates worker placement, but it does so only in tandem with everything else that's going on. Your most mobile worker is the one that's doing laps around the communal game board, picking up resources and filling the conventional worker role of enabling the number of different actions available to you. That could be indulging in some area control over the castle in the middle of the board, or investing in property around the very edge. All of these actions though will inevitably lead you back to your own player board, which acts as your engine, because the more secondary workers you place, the more your innate abilities yield better returns. Whilst there really is a lot going on mechanically in VWIC, perhaps the most surprising addition is that of deck building. Not only do your cards act multifunctionally depending on whether you rent or buy them, they also act as a visual roadmap for your available resources. It's these contrasting mechanics that add up to a game that's as not so simple as trying to gobble up as many points as possible. So why might you like it? Well, if you want yourself some tried and tested worker placement, but only as part of a larger whole, and you don't want to stretch your brain around those heavy mammoth weight games that normally employ such measures, then Viscounts is your best bridge gap friend. There's a lot going on here, but it mostly follows accessible logic and easy to understand iconography. And let's also give some weighty acknowledgement to the deck building. That's equal parts softly in that your deck doesn't cycle as quickly as most of its ilk, but that equally in turn just gives the multifunctional cards more time in the spotlight, as each round only rotates out one card that you'll be using passively throughout your turn, resulting in an elegant take on the mechanic. But it's both the synergy between what's happening on your player board and the communal board, and the mishmash of mechanics that sings like a barbershop quartet. I've already alluded to this, but Viscounts is as close as you're going to get to both accessible and complex, in part because it should take you no time at all to see all of the dots connecting the moving mechanical parts. But why might you not like it? Well, some of said moving parts do feel a little bit undercooked. Most notably, the one-time buffs you can opt to get from marketplace cards are often underwhelming and far too random. And that type of being in the right place at the right time is no more evident than with the manuscripts you can land on and pick up. Furthermore, the game's theme or lack thereof might be a little bit surprising, considering that this is a quite striking little medium box game. But that really doesn't translate to anything more than all of the pieces being quite stale thematically. In part that's because a lot of the game has a puzzle-like feel, but also because the heroes found on the cards could have any old title on them and no one would notice. What this all adds up to is a game that comfortably meets the expectations of its predecessors and forges its own path in the process. Alas, I have been your host Benji, and this video has ended. They could have gone with dukes, earls or barons, but no, Viscounts. Only ponces need apply.